So Narita is an engineer for Archive Information System, Archive Division, Right and Archive Management in the Center of NHK, System Project Manager for Broadcast Playout Systems in Engineering Administration Department of NHK, Broadcast Engineer at Koshiro Station, and he received his master's degree in Information Science and Technology from Kokkaido University in Japan. So welcome, Mr. Narita. He's online?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really glad to be here today. My name is Narita from NHK. As a broadcast engineer in charge of the system at NHK Archives, I work on function addition and improvement of the NHK Archives system. I also support the operation and workflow establishment for preserving and providing various types of content. I'm going to make a presentation titled Our Challenges to Preserve and Provide UHD Content in Various Formats. Today, I'm going to talk about how we at NHK Archives preserves and provides UHD video materials, which pose various challenges for us. Through this presentation, I would like you to know that NHK has established a flow of preserving and providing UHD materials while placing importance on the cost of preservation and the ease of reuse. I would like to share with you issues that broadcasters' archives are likely to face when preserving UHD video materials and our best practice to solve them. I hope that my presentation will help you prepare for the full-fledged UHD content era that will soon arrive. Here is the outline of my presentation, which is divided into 3 parts. First of all, before talking about preserving UHD materials, I will briefly explain how we preserve and provide HD materials for comparison purposes. Secondly, I will discuss why it is difficult to preserve UHD materials. Finally, I will explain how we examine possible ways of preserving UHD materials of various formats and the ultimate solution we reached. First, let me explain how NHK Archives preserves and provides HD video materials. The chart on the left shows the preservation process, and the chart on the right shows the process of provision or retrieval from the user's perspective. The preservation process involves entering information for reuse and registering a video. First, the program director enters metadata into the metadata database. This metadata contains information such as the program name, cast members, details of the music used, and so on. Then the director uploads a video material to the video storage. At this time, the director specifies which metadata should be linked with the uploaded video. When the video file has been uploaded, the system automatically generates a video clip for preview and links the video file with the metadata specified by the director. Let's take a look at retrieval flow. A user who wants to use videos preserved in the archives searches the metadata database to find a desired program. The user checks the contents by watching a preview clip linked to the metadata and orders the video file if needed. The ordered video is downloaded to a medium specified by the user and passed into the user's hands. As you see, the procedure for preserving and providing HD materials consists of the minimum necessary steps. Also, it is completely a file-based procedure. This offers great convenience. These are screenshots of actual screens. On the left is the program search screen, where you can enter a search word. On the right is the preview screen, where you can watch a preview clip for a particular program of the search results. Now, let's move on to the preservation of UHD materials. Let's see what differences from HD are making preservation more difficult. The first difficulty is the large file size. And this simply means each material needs a larger storage capacity, which directly leads to a soaring storage cost. In addition, a longer time is required for signal processing, file transfer, and reading from and writing to media. This means staff and equipment are occupied for a long time. The second difficulty is a wide variety of file formats. In comparison to HD materials, UHD material files involve diverse operations in terms of each element of different types of gamma, such as HDR, SDR, and ROG, encoding codecs such as XAVC or AVCHD and ProRes, and so on, and containers such as MXF and MOV, etc. Various combinations of these elements cause a wide variety of file formats. Of course, the materials are eventually converted to the playout format, but playout files are not the only materials we preserve in the archives. Original video materials produced during shooting and editing are more convenient for reuse in many cases. So there is a great demand for preserving these materials. But generally, as you go upstream in the production flow, more diverse file formats exist and the file size tends to be larger, increasing the difficulty of preservation. Therefore, we decided to classify UHD materials into two groups, those in the playout format and those in other formats, so that we can apply separate preservation rules for each group. The playout format is the format for completed programs played out daily, and it is the most common format for preservation. So for the playout format, we modify the system to achieve the same level of usability as HD. On the other hand, for materials in other formats, it is difficult for the system to support all of them. But as we receive strong requests for preserving such materials, we established rules and started accepting them. From the next slide, I'll show you each of the options we examined about how to preserve UHD materials in other formats. I hope we can review together on the path we took in considering them. Let's start with Plan A, storing UHD materials online as files. It is possible to upload non-playout formats videos as files, but the system does not support those formats. So the system cannot recognize them as video files and does not generate preview clips automatically. As online preview is not available, the efficiency of material searching declines significantly. To solve this problem, we need a transcoder that can generate preview clips for any format. But in reality, even major editing software is yet to be equipped with such a transcoder. Developing it in-house would require a huge development cost. We therefore concluded it is impossible to provide preview videos for all UHD materials. Also, as I mentioned earlier, most of the UHD materials in non-playout formats are used in the upstream of the production flow, and they tend to be large in file size. This causes the issue of taking up storage space. So we came up with plan B, converting all UHD materials to the playout format. For this plan too, we needed to develop a converter. And probably you can think of several issues easily. First, the format conversion takes extremely long time due to the large file size of UHD materials. Also, just as it is difficult to prepare a converter for preview in Plan A, it is difficult to prepare a converter that supports various formats. In addition, the conversion may lose camera parameter data from shooting. Without this data, it becomes difficult to reproduce the exact video intended by the camera person. Furthermore, color grading are needed, especially for RAW and log files. Color grading is a task that requires many hours of work by skilled professionals. Besides, adding this process loses the versatility of video materials. In this way, converting UHD materials to the playout format needs enormous amounts of labor and time, and has the issue of losing valuable information of the original materials. So we decided that it is inappropriate to use the conversion as pre-processing for archive preservation. This led us to shift our mindset from unifying the formats of video files to be preserved to storing video materials from shooting as is on the shelves, which is Plan C. As I explained in Plan A, it is possible to store UHD material files in online storage, but unprocessed UHD materials are large in file size, quickly filling up storage. Also, the system cannot recognize UHD materials in non-playout formats as video files, so it cannot distinguish them from other electronic files than videos. In the long term, this is likely to create confusion in file management. For these reasons, we considered that storing them in online storage has few advantages. So as Plan C, we considered storing the materials in LTO, offline storage, which is less expensive than online storage. In this plan, UHD materials from shooting are directly stored in LTO, which is stored on a shelf. This plan does not need a prior conversion or online storage capacity, but there still is the issue of not being able to see what's contained in the video because the preview is not available during material searching for reuse. So, as the chart on the right shows, the user has to order LTO by guesswork because there is no way to see the contents of LTO during material searching. To address this issue, we thought about saving information that helps users to decide whether they want to reuse the materials without using preview. To find out what the information should be and can be described, we had opinions from both the material producer side and the material user side. And we created a template listing the items of video material information that are necessary for reuse. This template contains information about the video file, such as folder structure, file name, file format, color space, and dynamic range. And information about the contents, such as a description of the video contents, terms of use for each video material, and important notes. Recent cameras that save captured materials as files create a single video file every time shooting is stopped. So usually, one video file contains one piece of content. So complicated descriptions are rarely required for the information about the contents. So we made a rule that this template needs to be filled out and submitted. This material information file allows the users to decide whether they want to reuse the video and to know what processing is required after they receive it. Thus, we have established these preservation flows for UHD video materials. The flow for the playout format is shown on the left, and that for other formats on the right. For the playout format, the flow is the same as HD. After metadata is entered, a video file is ingested in online storage, which generates a preview video automatically. For other formats, metadata is entered in the same way, but then LTO is physically stored on the shelf. The characteristic point here is that a material information file is uploaded to enable the information about the contents of the LTO preserved offline to be viewed online. Similarly, these are the retrieval flows for UHD materials we've established. Again, the flow for the playout format is shown on the left, and that for other formats on the right. For the playout format, as with HD, the user watches a preview to decide whether to use the video and orders it online. Then the specified video file is downloaded. This is very convenient. For other formats, as the preview is not available, the user checks the material information file to decide whether to use the material and orders it. When the material is provided, the LTO needs to be manually taken from the shelf and copied to another LTO for provision. So the flow is less convenient than the flow for the playout format. But we believe the reusability of preserved videos can be secured at the very least. These tables summarize how we preserve various UHD materials. As we've covered, UHD 4K materials in the playout format can be stored online. As with HD, and preview clips can be also generated. Meanwhile, For other formats, we decided to store them in LTO and save the information necessary for reuse at the same time. I didn't mention this to avoid confusion, but actually, we handle 8K materials too. For 8K materials, due to their file size, we store all of them, including those in the playout format, in LTO on the shelves, instead of online preservation. But only for the playout format, we incorporated a preview clip generation capability to help users see the contents easily. So it is possible to view preview clips online for the playout format. In other words, it's a hybrid of Plan A and Plan C. For 8K materials in non-playout formats, we store them according to Plan C in the same way as 4K materials in non-playout formats. Like this, we preserve UHD video materials in various formats while ensuring an environment convenient for reuse. Let me summarize my points. First, we classified UHD materials into the playout format and other formats. For UHD materials in the playout format, we upgraded the system to achieve the same level of usability as HD materials. For UHD materials in non-playout formats, we examined various options considering the balance between costs and usability. As a result, we decided to set out a rule requiring the preparation of files describing the minimum necessary information for reuse and store materials in their original formats in LTO. We believe this operation procedure we have established for preserving UHD materials in non-playout formats is our best practice. That is the most practical solution under the present circumstances. But we don't consider it as a perfect solution. For example, LTO preservation is inevitably accompanied by the issue of migration. We have to face this. For now, however, we would like to accumulate our knowledge using this operation and further enhance usability at the timing of next system upgrade. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yo. We have a few minutes for questions. Anyone have questions for Yo? No questions? So I have a question. How much of your archive now is in 4K? How much is in 8K? And what is the percentage of the daily production? It's not all in 4K or 8K, some is in HD.
Thank you for the question. Sorry, I don't have a concrete figure, but we create, basically we create 2K programs, but we started to create program in 4K and broadcast it into 4K service and 2K service, both service. And yeah, 4K program is daily created. And 8K programs are less popular than 4K programs, so we create less programs than 4K. Sorry, I don't have a concrete number, but that's the present situation.
Up.
Yes, growing up,
But,
yes.
okay, you foresee that it's growing up, your archive, the UHD
Yes.
archive. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Yo.
thank you.